On the IM Drive is SheInspires. SheInspires profiles inspiring women of our times across all sectors of society. Join us as our distinguished guests share their lives with us, their journey behind the scenes, why they do what they do, life's lessons garnered over the years, their faith, family life and work balance, and so much more. Hello and welcome to another edition of SheInspires, bringing Christian women across all sectors of society. Today our guest happens to be the Group Head of Retail Banking at Access Bank PLC. Our guests share with us their greatest achievements, their family and work-life balance, 3 major lessons they've learned along the way in life, and so much more. So we get to find out more about the hobbies that they enjoy. Thank you for joining us on SheInspires on air on Sunny 88.7 FM, also on Facebook at SunnyFM Ghana, and you can also catch us on Sunny TV. Our guest is Mrs. Matilda Asante Asiedu, Group Head of Retail Banking at Access Bank PLC. Thank you for joining us on SheInspires.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Fantastic.
To be here.
As Group Head of Retail Banking at Access Bank, on a day-to-day basis, what are you doing? What does the work entail?
Okay, so typically, Group Head for Retail Banking means that you have responsibility for branches, SME and individual customers. And you also, in my case, have responsibility for private banking, which happens to be where we're shooting this from. And also for women banking. And my most recent baby is bank assurance. So that's in totality what I supervise. A team of people across branches, private banking team, our women banking team, and our bank assurance team.
So we're going to get into how you got into the world of banking, because most of us know you from the screens as the woman on the agenda, calling the big shots. But take us back to your childhood. What was growing up like for you?
It was fun. I mean, I had parents who were focused on getting you educated because they believed that education was the key to everything. But it also was fun because I grew up with siblings. I was the third of 4 children, and so I got to do little most of the time. Were you the only girl? There were 2 girls. I have a big sister and then myself. But because they were older, they got to do all the chores. I got to play most of the time. So it was really fun, but it was also very focused because my parents were very particular about getting education and focusing on your education. So that was most of the time the drive. And of course, you had to go to Sunday school. So that was always a necessity as well. But overall, I think I had a very fun childhood. And I still have very fond memories.
Anyone you can share with us? Anyone you can think of?
What comes to mind readily? I think my favorite memories maybe would be when my dad would be the one cooking the meal for us. And
what would he be cooking?
Anything you wanted, really. He can make you soup.
Okay.
He can make you jollof rice, make you a salad. So sometimes he'll take that up and be the one doing the cooking. And I think my most fondest would be Christmas, where you hear the carols playing at home, and then all the cake and the food and the drinks and the family coming around. So yeah, that's essentially how my childhood was.
So would you say your parents' emphasis on education has been a building block on who you are today?
Oh yes, I mean I couldn't. Of course, God is the determiner of all things, but I think my parents focus on getting us educated and keeping you focused on learning has been good, and it's kept me, even after I have grown up, to also imbibe it to the point where continuous learning has become a part of me. And I guess that's what has helped the transitioning from what you would call pure journalism and now to core banking, if you like.
So now that you mentioned journalism, was it something you aimed at as a child growing up, or it came along the way you found it interesting and said, you know what, let's give this a try? How did it start for you?
So as I grew up, a lot of people who heard me speak just concluded I should do broadcasting. And so it was something, and I was very inquisitive, always asking questions and finding out things. And so they said it was either going to be law or journalism. And I found journalism exciting and I enjoyed doing it. So that's how I got into journalism. In fact, I think after sixth form, I was trying to figure out where to go because I had options. And then my uncle decided that he had to go and get me a journalism school form to fill. And that is how I started, going into journalism. And I think it's been a very good foundation for my life and also for my career.
Would you remember your most exciting assignment during your time of journalism? Would you remember to share with us?
I have many. I have many, but I think because my interests most of the time was also on making and bringing change, I think one of the ones that I remember also vividly, it would not be exciting because it wasn't an exciting story, but it was a human interest story that I think in the end impacted lives. So there was this little girl, we called her Little Adra, that's not her real name, and we found out that she had been abused by her grandfather. Unfortunately, in the process, I think the man was HIV positive.
Oh my.
So this girl also became HIV positive. And in the end, she was very sick. I think she had what we would now call something like fistula. And through that broadcast, we were able to raise funds to provide care, but also to get the perpetrator, make sure that he was also punished for his act. And so though it may not be the most exciting, I think for me it was very impactful. Because my whole, my whole mission has always been about trying to make an impact. And the only way to measure impact is to see whether lives have been influenced or affected. So yeah, I think for me that was, but we had other fun, crazy moments in the newsroom, like covering Ghana at 50. That was really exciting.
That was.
Yeah. And many others that we couldn't talk about because we wouldn't have the time to do so.
This is She Inspires. Our guest on She Inspires today is Mrs. Matilda Asante Asiedu, still in journalism. I know we see lots of women in journalism, but would you say that there are some unique challenges for women in that field, having been there?
Okay, so I think as women, we live in a man's world. So whether you're in journalism, banking, or whatever your mission is or your career focus is, you are always bound to have challenges. And particularly in a men's world, people want to first look at you. They're looking at your looks sometimes and not even focusing on your intellect or what you bring to the table substantially. So I remember in my early days in the newsroom what I adopted. So in those days, mini skirts were in vogue.
Okay.
So I started off working in the newsroom wearing mini skirts.
All right.
But each time I realized that instead of focusing on my face and listening to what I was saying,
they were looking down.
So I said, okay, this is what I want to do.
This is not working.
I started to dress like them.
Okay.
So I was usually wearing trousers and shirts.
So their eyes were on you now?
Exactly. Because it was more focusing on what's in my head than what I'm looking like, So that's obviously one of the challenges. But also because a lot of women haven't had opportunity to break what you call the glass ceiling. A woman has to work multiple times as hard as a man would work. I mean, it's not for nothing that when, even in this country, a man is appointed or named as a nominee for ministerial appointment, everybody assumes that they know what they're about. And yet when a woman's name comes up, the first question you hear is, what has she done before? What's her experience? We take it for granted because this is a man's world that they know what they're doing. But they don't always know what they're doing. And I think studies have shown that women are better managers, and not just in the home, because if you can trust a woman with your home and with your family, then you should be able to trust them with your business as well. And there's more than enough statistics to show that women are great leaders. So yeah, there are challenges, but not that get at you, because it's through those challenges that you rise.
So still talking about challenges, unique challenges that women face, let's talk about the affirmative action. Some people think it's discriminatory. As one who's been in journalism, who's in banking, what are your thoughts on this one?
I don't think it is. So I think I give you a scenario, and typically because we also do women banking, this is a conversation we have. The men say, why are you giving women specialized banking and not us?
Yeah.
So let me tell you a story. You take a bird, right? A flying bird, and you tie down one wing and one leg, and you release that bird to fly or to move. They can only go so far. We live in a patriarchal society, no doubt. But we also live in a society in this world where 50% plus of the population is female. Now, if you don't give that 50% plus the opportunity, what it means is that half of the potential of your population as a country, as a community, or even as a family is locked up and is never opened up for opportunity. And we know that women can do as much, sometimes if not more, given the opportunity. So that is the whole idea of affirmative action. It is giving women the opportunity that from start they do not have, giving women the level playing field and giving them a little edge so that whatever potential they have, they can bring to the table. Because if you're a married man, for instance, and you have a wife who is not working or who you haven't supported and empowered to bring to family, then you find that your whole family is dependent on one income. Yes. Whereas if the woman was also going and bringing back, you find that you have a bigger pool and you can educate your children better.
You're more at ease.
Exactly, and you don't have to be, on edge all the time trying to figure out how to make ends meet. So it is for everybody's good, national, family, community, regional, worldwide good, if women have opportunity. And we know the women have potential.
Yeah.
It's just about giving them opportunity to show what they're capable of doing.
So would you say as a country we can do far better in giving women more opportunities?
Oh, of course. I mean, we've been talking about political parties, for instance, in their strongholds, giving women the opportunity to run, because it's a done deal. They would win. But it's a continuing conversation.
Yeah.
Have we come far from where we were? I believe we have. Is there room to do more? Certainly there's room to do more. But I think we're on the right path. And with time and more advocacy, I think we can get there.
What would you say are some values that have kept you in some positions you've held, whether it's in journalism or was in journalism or even in banking now? Yeah.
So I think the God factor is always, the Bible says that what is it we have that we did not receive? So God has been really knowing God and trusting Him to guide your steps is very important. You have to understand the word so that you apply it also to your life. Because I think going to church alone is not what Christianity is about. It's about knowing God for yourself and having an understanding of who God is. So the God factor is always critical. I think the other thing for me would be hard work and continuous self-improvement. So I started my career in journalism. I only had a journalism degree. I decided that at some point in my journalism that I wanted to also advance myself. So I went and did a master's in communication.
Were you married at the time you went into getting the master's? Or
no, I wasn't
not married at the time?
And the thing about me, and I don't think that people should necessarily follow that trajectory, because when I started out as a career person, my focus was on career. Marriage was the last thing on my mind, honestly. It wasn't something that I was working towards. I was always working towards how to get to the next level in my career. Okay. So I focused on building myself and getting additional skills and education. Fast forward that into banking, I came to do communications. Now, if I didn't apply myself in getting that additional skill and knowledge, I think I would have struggled. Even though, truth be told, it wasn't an easy or ride or walk in the park. I also was doing financial reporting. And in doing financial reporting, I also took interest in analyzing financial statements. I went to the Ghana Stock Exchange to do stock exchange trading. At some point, if I even wanted, I could have just diverted into, stock exchange trading and everything. But I decided to use that to focus on financial reporting. And so when I got into banking, it was a bit easy. I understood some of the things. Okay. And bankers have a way of focusing on technologies that if you're not careful, you'll be completely lost. So I think that helped. But I also think I had good leadership, and I continue to have good leadership. So in the bank, there was an understanding that if you want to do communication for the bank, you needed to understand banking. Okay. So you had to go and learn banking. Okay. And you also had to be part of all the banking related conversations. So I think hard work and continuous improvement. I also think that building relationships.
Right.
Don't burn your bridges. Because what I found, so I was working a lot in media, and I didn't even know and appreciate the social capital and the reputational capital I had built. I didn't appreciate it at all, to be honest, until I stepped into banking and in communications. And even now, any door I want to open, I can open. Because once I phone you and I mention my name, oh,
that name.
Okay, just come. And yet when I was working in media, that wasn't something that I would say I even recognized as an asset. So I think maintaining and building good relationships, very, very important. I have many more, but I think we'll stick with the three.
I think we'll come to you for part 2 of She Inspires for some more.
Okay.
So, Matilda, we saw you on the screens, and then for a while you were missing on the screens. What was happening behind the scenes, and all of a sudden you were in banking? Tell us about that transition.
Okay, so I think in journalism, I believed I had been there, done that.
Okay.
There was no new challenge for me.
Nothing new
Really.
was
It's
coming.
like everything was on autopilot.
Okay.
And I wanted a new challenge. And again, I think relationships matter. So I had this friend I knew, a family friend, who I kept saying, oh, I think I want to do something else. And he said, but you have this glamorous job. Why do you want to change it? I said, oh,
It is seen as glamorous.
Exactly. And I said, I want to put other skills to use. And so it was through him that I got introduced to Access Bank.
Okay.
I had other opportunities because he presented me with options. And I thought, okay, I wanted to focus on something private, not public sector related. So I got the opportunity, and that's how my journey in Access Bank started. And I started in communications, really. And by the grace of God and with favor and hard work and trying to learn new things over time, I think I transitioned now into managing retail, which is really core banking.
I'm sure you inspire a lot of women out there as we're listening to you. But also, tell us about your family. Can you shed some light on your family? I don't think we've heard much about that one.
Okay, so I already spoke about my siblings.
Yes, you have.
I'm the third of 4 children.
Okay.
And we had 2 boys and 2 girls. I'm married to Larry. I call him Kwesi. And then we have a son. He just turned 9.
You're right.
So that's essentially my nuclear family. Is myself, my husband,
and your 9-year-old.
And my 9-year-old.
How do you balance work and family, being there for your 9-year-old and being there as a wife also, and making sure that you're on top of your game at Access Bank?
I think nobody has it perfect, to be honest. It's always a constant challenge. But the good thing is that I have good support.
Okay.
So the thing about being a woman is that if you want, and if you don't want to, you shouldn't have to burden yourself, because you can't be all to everybody. You have to find the balance that works for you. So for me, it's getting help. So for instance, you wake up in the morning, you have to get ready. My husband is getting ready. We have to get the child ready. Depending on our schedules, one of us drops him off in school, and then we agree who picks him up from school and things like that. And also getting help from extended family. I think that's also been very helpful. When we're both very busy, we ship him off to my mom's.
Okay, thank God for moms.
Exactly. We ship him off to my mom's, also providing us with that support. We also have help at home. You know, that helps occasionally when there are things that need to get done, because you can't do it all. And sometimes I think women, we just overburden ourselves, wanting to be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect career woman. It's difficult, but it's possible with help. So yeah, that's how we get by. And I think we have a good family work-life balance.
Yes, it's there. This is She Inspires, and our guest is Mrs. Matilda Asante Asiedu. She's a lovely guest of She Inspires today. I'm just enjoying this time with her. So what do you do for fun when you're not working hard at being a mom or being a wife or having to call the shots at work? What do you do for fun? What are some hobbies you enjoy?
So one of my favorite pastimes is eating out.
Okay.
And I always say to my friends, anybody who cares to it, my idea of part of fun is being in a good restaurant with light music, glasses clinking, laughter here and there. That for me is relaxing and fun. I also enjoy going to the beach, even though I don't get to do that often. But I love to go, and I go, usually we go walk on the beach. I don't really swim, so and my son doesn't swim either, so we don't go near the water too
much. Just go by it
exactly,
close.
And along the shores, let the water wash your feet, and then you sit down and have a bit of relaxation. And then I also like to watch movies, so we have movie times. My son will say, "Mommy, it's time for our movies." We make popcorn, we sit down, whatever is available to watch, a good family thing. We watch and we have fun. So that's how I relax.
Okay. And talking about having a meal, eating out, let's say you got an award. You recently got awarded and you were so excited and you wanted to eat out. What would I find you eating as your celebration meal?
I really don't have, I was thinking about that today as I was leaving. I was wondering, what are we going to eat? I don't really have a particular meal, but I eat anything really. I'm very adventurous when it comes to food. So I can eat fufu, banku, rice, any meal really. I'm not very particular, but I'm just particular about what I want to eat at a particular time.
All right.
So if I wake up today and my focus is on eating apim and kobe and abum, then that's what I have to eat. So whatever it takes to get that done, I will do. But otherwise, I'm really free when it comes to meals. Just not particular at all.
So you mentioned your faith along the way, how it's been an integral part of your life. When would you say you developed a close relationship with God? Has it always been there? At a point it got stronger due to a certain circumstance or something?
So I think I started maybe in secondary school, but you go on and off and you go on and off. But I think where I really became focused was when I was working in media. I found that you'd be exposed to a lot of temptation, and if you didn't have strong values, especially personal integrity, then you could be sidetracked along the way. So I recall that at some point in my life working in media, I just decided that, see, God is the most important. Anything else is secondary. Because whatever blessing you see somebody have, whether it's a man or a woman, that you see them have today, they started somewhere and they built upon it. And today when you see them in their plush cars, you think they are all that. They also started walking on foot, taking trotro, eventually to taxis.
Hustling them
exactly before eventually they became who they were. So at that point in my life, and I really thank God for my spiritual fathers and family and friends who encouraged me. At that point in my life, I just decided that this is the focus, because otherwise you could be sidetracked. And when I say this to my friends and to people who know me, they wonder how we survived it. But I think even when I met my husband, we dated for 3 years, broke up in between. I told him, see, I'm practicing celibacy. So it's either you work with me on it or you can take a walk. And I think it's paid off, because what that has helped us do also is build trust. I work in an environment where I still am exposed to that temptation, but I put God first. I say to myself, would this please God? And not even about my husband or faithfulness. That is important, no doubt. But I want to live my life in a way that pleases God. And I think that is what has kept me. Was it easy? No, it's not easy at all, because you look around, you see things and you see what others are doing. And if you're not careful, you might be tempted. But it's just to stay focused and just put my trust in God, that He who has started this good work, that He's going to take me to whatever level that He has destined for my life. And I think that's very important for every human being, but more especially for women, because the temptations are quite daunting. But always my focus was putting God first, putting my country first, and also personal integrity. You don't value what a good name can give you until you begin to need it. A good name, they say, is better than riches. Because out of a good name will come the riches. I've been in banking for 11 years. And yet still when I mention Matilda, so when I add Asante, Asiedu, they don't get it. But when I say Matilda, Asante, and they just get it. And I think it's been phenomenal. So a good name is not for nothing that they say that. It will open the doors and give you the riches ultimately.
You know, She Inspires us also to encourage young women. And sometimes we hear stories, a woman say, I'm trying to find a job here and they tell me I have to do this and do that. Or the boss says, if I don't do this and do that, I cannot have the job. I have a family to feed. My mom looks up to me. I'm taking care of 4 siblings. And for any woman who's in such a dilemma and they feel they have to bend their values so they can have a good job and support their family, you have seen how these temptations can play out. You probably understand how difficult it may be for some of these women. What would you say to them?
Okay, so I think now the temptation is not just for women, but also for men. But I want to focus on women.
Sure.
I think once you start, there's no stopping. Because once you let yourself go once, you think it's okay, you can do it again. And before you know, you're building a trail behind you and a reputation which will come back to bite you. So is it easy to say no because the man wants to have his way with you before you get a job? It's not easy. But my encouragement would be to say no. Because once you start, there is no stopping. You would think that it would be okay to do for the next. And once they also realize that that is what it would take to get you, then they will always use it against you. So it's difficult, I know. And it cannot be easy if you're looking for a job. But there are jobs out there. Still start small. I remember when I was trying to move from Joy. I didn't start my career at Joy, by the way. I started at Groove FM. And when I was trying to move from Joy to Groove, at Groove, back in the day, I was paid
You mean you wanted to move from
Groove to Joy. I was paid 500 CDs. I think it's 50 CDs now, maybe, or thereabouts. And I went to Joy, and the owner of Joy at the time said, oh, we were just hiring. We're full now. But if you want us to give you the opportunity, you have to start off as an intern.
Okay.
And this is me. I had a job that was paying me 500 CDs at the time. But I also thought, I think this is where the best is. I want to be the best or with the best. So I took up the internship, left my full-time paid job for 250 CDs, half.
Was it a difficult decision to make?
It was, because I spoke to my friends. They thought, are you crazy? Why would you leave a full-time job?
For half of it to be
and
an
go
intern.
and be an intern. There's even no guarantee of a job. But they told me that if I was able to prove myself in 3 months, then they would consider me for a proper job and give me an offer. And boy, did I kill myself to make that 3 months happen. By the grace of God, I think by the time I had done 2.5 months, the CEO called me and said, oh, I think that you've proved yourself. So this is your offer. Wow. And I think my first salary was 750.
How did you feel when he gave you that offer?
It was exciting. But also I thought that the gamble I had taken had paid off. So there's always opportunity. Start small. Nobody at the top got to the top overnight. If they tell you their struggles, it didn't come easy, but it's always worth it. When you have gone through the mill and you have achieved, you yourself, you'll find it self-fulfilling instead of cutting corners to get there, because cutting corners can take you to the top, but it will not maintain you there. The most important thing about getting to the top is how you stay there and how you continue to rise. Even for me, I believe that there's more I have to do. So usually when I am asked for interviews like this, I don't do them because I tell them that I think there's still more I'm learning and I haven't even arrived to, talk about achievements yet. But I hope that the little that I have done is an inspiration, and that's the only reason.
Matilda, this is not little, because for every woman who's in journalism, when you talk about how you wanted a new challenge, you are the woman we see who embraced a new challenge, and here you are today. So I think you're a great inspiration. Thank you. This is She Inspires, an initiative of Sunny TV and SunnyFM, bringing Christian women across Ghana. They are sharing their lives with us, their greatest achievements, their family work-life balance, how they make it all happen. And also there are 3 major lessons, their hobbies. And our guest today is Mrs. Matilda Asante Asiedu. You may remember her from the screens, yes, now, and she's been in banking for 11 years now. finally, to wrap it up with Matilda, what would you say are 3 major lessons you've learned along in life that you can share with us to inspire someone out there today?
Thank you. So I think trust in God is very important, because in this life, not just in career, you'll be faced with challenges. And the only source of hope for me is God. Because my experience in life is that human beings will let you down. That's why they're not God. That's why the Bible says, trust not in men, trust in God. So for me, that's critical. Then the second thing is about commitment and hard work, dedication to duty. The Bible says that whatever your hand findeth to do, do it well. And that gift, if you do it well, will one day bring you before kings and authorities. It is not for nothing. You know, the Bible is a book for life, but sometimes we take it as something you do on a Sunday. So my son will say, Mommy, but it's not Sunday. Why are we playing gospel music? Why are we praying? You know, because it is the book for life. So I think that is also very important. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it to the best of your ability. And the final thing, like I said, I have many more, but the final thing for me is to build relationships. Don't burn your bridges, because someday you might need to walk on that bridge to the next opportunity ahead of you.
Don't burn your bridges. So if you're just about to, before you chanced on this interview, I think now you know what to do, because you just may need to get back on that bridge to get through to your next door. Our guest on She Inspires today has been Mrs. Matilda Asante Asiedu. It's been such an awesome time with her. She talked about how she usually will not grant interviews. So in my heart, I'm like, Lord, thank you. Thank you for getting her to say yes to us. It's been a pleasure having you. And I know you sharing your life with us has been inspiring for a woman out there. And as we put together She Inspires, and we thought we'll hook up with you. And thank you again for saying yes. So thank you for making the time with us on She Inspires. And thank you all for joining us. My name is Jennifer Jessica Danko. You can simply call me JJD. And thank you for joining us on She Inspires on the air at Sunny 88.7 FM. If you join us on Facebook, also at SunnyFM Ghana, thank you for joining us. And also you can catch She Inspires on Sunny TV. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
On the IM Drive is She Inspires. She Inspires profiles inspiring women of our times across all sectors of society. Join us as our distinguished guests share their lives with us, their journey behind the scenes, why they do what they do, life's lessons garnered over the years, their faith, family life and work balance, and so much more.